Well, good afternoon, everyone. I thank you very much for the opportunity to come and speak to you guys today. And I really wanted to speak on leadership, not because I'm some sort of guru, but it's something that over my career and over my lifetime I've learned something about. And when I sat down to write this talk, I was thinking, well, how does one define the word leadership? And as I'm thinking about it, words weren't coming into my mind, people were, right? People like Martin Luther King, like Mahatma Gandhi, like Abraham Lincoln, these larger than life, huge people. I mean, they changed the world, amazing human beings. And I thought, well, how could I or anyone really aspire to be that? I mean, that's a someday maybe. That's something you work long and hard for. You have to be the best or the brightest, one of the S's, right? Not just anybody gets to be a leader like that. And while I agree with that to some degree, I think that, and I challenge all of you, that in my belief, everyone here, everyone is a leader. You have been in the past, you will be in the future, and you are right now. And you're saying, okay, Albani, I was with you until this point, okay? Like, I'm not a leader, I'm not Abraham Lincoln, I mean, seriously. I think what it comes down to is if you define a leader as a world changer, someone who changes worldview, it comes down to how you define worldview. What is a worldview? My view of the world is far different than your view of the world, right? We all have our own sense of what the world is. And Drew Dudley, who is a speaker on leadership, talks about this. In fact, there may be as many views of the world as there are humans living on it. Everyone has their own story. Now, there's a story that was in a book by Stephen Covey, and this story talks about a young father who got on the L in New York City. And on Sundays in the L in New York City, it's pretty quiet. There's not a lot of traffic. Most of the people that are on that train are reading or listening to their iPod or whatever, enjoying the solitude of Sunday on the L. And this father got on the train, and he had 2 young children. And he sat down and sort of stared blankly out the window. His kids were running amok. And he seemed not to be taking any interest in controlling them. And the people on the train were getting annoyed because their peace had been disrupted. They started looking at each other. And finally, one older gentleman turned around to the father and said, "Control your kids. They're disturbing the peace here." And the father looked at him and kind of blankly said, I am so sorry, sir. I lost their mother this morning, and I don't know what to do. The reason to tell that story is that behind every human face is a story, and you don't know what that person is bringing to an interaction. You have no idea. You talk nicely to someone, and they yell back at you. Oh, what was that about? Sort of their baggage, if you will, that they bring with you. Okay. So the point being that with every unique view of the world, if everyone possesses a unique view of the world, then if you change one individual's perspective, Dudley says, you've changed the world, right? So I gave a lecture actually to the Dillon students not too long ago, and one of the students had told me, since I'm a physician, she said, I want to be an OBGYN, you know, that physician-to-physician thing. And which is exciting. OBGYN is a lot of fun. You know, it's one of those great things in medicine where people actually leave the hospital with something, like a little prize after your hospital stay, right? So it's quite rewarding. You know, so it's a great field to go into. And she had expressed interest in this, and you know, not but a couple of weeks later, she had gone to a lecture on heroin and the impact that heroin is having on our teenagers and on our adult population, as well as their children and their kids, their unborn children, and what it's doing to these children, you know, before they're born, after they're born, and long after. I mean, they when they're born, they're addicted, right? And this is a hard reality. This isn't fun. This is not the joys of OBGYN. This is the hard reality. And she wrote me an email and said, I don't know if I can do this. Within 30 minutes, a lecture heard changed her viewpoint on the world and may have changed her life. Within 30 minutes. So why do I bring this up? Because each one of you, in your word and in your action, as we've heard earlier today, can affect change in other people by a simple word of kindness or a simple word of anger can change somebody's life. You may not appreciate it, but it's powerful and priceless. You must respect the power of what you say and what you do. And once you respect that you can change people's lives, you also recognize that when people say things to you, they can change your life. Great, so you can say, well, I'm a leader now, I'm good, kick back, this is great, I don't have to work at her anymore. But now I challenge you to say, don't just lead, create a movement. What do you mean by that, Barb? Well, there's a video online about this man who's dancing at an open air concert. Right? He's sort of disheveled. He's got long hair. Kind of looks a little bit like a hippie. Everybody's sort of enjoying their quiet time, sitting down on their blanket, having their picnic. And this guy gets up and starts dancing like a wild man. And people look at him like, right, okay. And they just sort of stare at him. But he continues to dance as if, not noticing what people are saying or looking at him like. And then something happens. A second person stands up and starts dancing with him, what we call the first follower. And they start dancing, and the two of them start dancing with each other. And then guess what? Somebody else steps up. And then another person, and another person. Whole groups of people start standing up. And at the end, most of the people aren't sitting on their blankets at all. They're all dancing. Now, I'm not suggesting that you get up right now and start dancing. What I am suggesting is that you find something that you're passionate about and work for it. So my example, which ties in very, very well with another talk that we had earlier, is food waste. Very simple, something we all do, right? The estimation of the amount of organic food waste that we throw away is 700 football stadiums a year. That's a lot of food. Not only that, if you were to bring about 30% of the food you bring home from the supermarket, you throw away. That's like taking, as John Oliver says, that's like taking 3 bags of food, dropping one in the parking lot and keeping walking. It's a lot of food, particularly as we heard when there's millions and millions of people on this planet that are starving. You say, well, I can't solve this. That's like solving world peace, right? But you can take action. You can have impact. How do you do that? You do that by taking what you need, not what you want. Not taking a huge plate of food, right? Making sure that you buy small quantities of stuff that are perishable. And you do it yourself. And then watch your sister do it, and your brother do it, and your mom do it. And then your mom goes to work, and all of her friends start doing it. And then your dad does the same thing. And that's where a small act of determination becomes a little wave, and that wave becomes a tsunami. And that's how the world changes too. So these are ways that you guys, even though you're in 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, can have impact. Okay? Always pay attention to the power of your word. There was an English teacher who was giving a commencement speech, and he talked about leadership in terms of climbing a mountain. And he said, you don't climb the mountain so that the world sees you. You climb the mountain to enjoy the climb, and when you summit it, to look out at the world and enjoy the fresh air. What I see as a leader is a person who takes both big action and small action, right? They take action, but it's not about what's in it for me. It's about making an impact. And what I encourage and challenge you all to do is to get up and dance and lead.